Good morning, guys. Hopefully, you guys are well on this Wednesday morning. We've got some things to talk about. So, price did go up and fill that weekly NPOC that we were talking about, also the September high. So, I'm going to say that number like I do every day on this show 22,810.50. But we do have some interesting inflection points, kind of a review of yesterday's levels, but they're still very important for today. So, we're going to jump right into the charts unless Max has got something that he wants to add.
No, we had 18 people waiting for us then as soon as we went live. That's great. Great to see. Love it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I see Erska wants our cookies. I do owe her some cookies. I don't know. I can't remember exactly where you live. I don't remember the name of the country you live every time. I always think it's just Estonia or wherever the furthest regions of Earth are. I think that's where I think she resides. The
Two
most
Americans.
the most Eastern Europe, wherever that is. How is Yugoslavia? Yep, she's getting some crap for it in the chat. Lola, Caro, Chris, nice to see you guys. Pullman. Yeah, let's hop into the charts. I'll go ahead and get mine up. As we said yesterday, we're going to try to keep these charts a little bit more clean, and I lied. Just kidding. We'll get rid of the WAPs here real quick, and we can probably get rid of the weekly pivots for now. So fairly clean chart. This is actually the daily chart. And the reason I was doing that is I was actually just boxing off these local highs here, and we'll run a quick fib from high to low just to see. And you'll notice that this is your gold pocket as well. So the overall golden pocket from the high of the move and the low of the move does come in here at this like daily resistance, this last local highs here. Now, if you're looking at this from like an hourly standpoint where we pulled our initial gold pocket right here, off this local high, you have swept this. So if we just put a line right there, you can see you have swept that high and turned it into resistance effectively. So your weekly naked point of control was filled. T-Bone brought up, said it was initiated, and I wasn't trying to correct him too much there, but it was one of those things where when we say initiated, there's not much that we really have in terms of like a previous day Dalton, where we know that every two 30-minute candles close inside the prior day session, you have an 80% chance or 75% chance of hitting the previous day point of control. It used to be 80, but with Bitcoin currently, from what we know, it's 75 based on the actual numbers. So we just know that when you have a weekly range and it closes outside of the value area, that's key here, guys. This is something that I've figured out a couple years ago. If you close outside this value area on a weekly closing basis, it doesn't happen very often that you close out of it. You usually close this weekly naked point of control. At the time, it was upwards of like 84%. It was pretty high. I need to keep up on those statistics for the last year now and add those in there. So that might just be a chore that I do, is go through, since I have all the weekly ranges anyway, and rerun those numbers and see what the fill rate is. And then we don't really have like a designed activation trigger. It's more of those, you swept these lows. We know we're looking for 22,407, and we knew the VWAP yesterday was going to be absolutely key, which it did tag off this initial rejection. You did nothing but put in higher lows. I got stopped out of my short in at break even, basically. That was 22,238, I think, was my entry. So that stopped me out overnight. Woke up and it was filling this in. So, still winning on that position because I have longs open in other accounts. So it's fine by me. But did get to take profit one at the VWAP here. And if you do notice, this is also going to be kind of the low of the range. So, this would be something I'm sure T-Bone's looked at. And I usually try to shy away from this stuff, but because it's just the prior week, it could be somewhat relevant. It is your previous week val that you did come down to yesterday. So you did come down, stay in the range. We're showing it respect, putting in higher lows, and there was no real sign of rejection. You got the easy rejection and move here off the local gold pocket, off the weekly pivots, and then straight through into this area. And now you're just sitting on the EQ of your range. And the reason I bring this up is that a lot of times when you deviate a range, you do tend to rotate it in full. And so getting off of the time scale of things, I would like to look at this as all one big range now. And that we were looking at this like so before, and we were saying, okay, this is our range because, before we broke down, we'd expect to see the point of control, which lined up with the weekly point of control. Where is your value area high now? And your gold pocket, it's all up here at the highs. Okay, so if we're still hanging on to like this 22,407, because I think we can probably start including this data here. Yeah, if you start losing 22,407, even though we did not test it on the way up. So again, this is another really great example. I've brought this up on Twitter and in the group. Something is strong support, strong support, strong support, strong support does not mean that it will automatically have to act as resistance on the way back up, because you can see you got front run here. It consolidated beneath there in the form of like a flag and straight through it. That does not mean that when price comes back to it like this, that it won't be support again. Okay, just because it got front run right here. So do remember that you have to trade each situation as it is unique. Those buyers or sellers may or may not be there. That's why order flow is so important to watch. There was a guy in the Sin City stream yesterday for the CPI. He was like, are we not going to look at stochastics or RSI or money flow? And I'm going to be honest with you guys. No, we're not ever going to look at that shit, because it's just not as good. I'm just going to be point blank about it. It's just not as good. So learning order flow is, as of right now, the best way to read real-time price action, in my opinion. Otherwise, you are always going to be a little bit behind. So weekly NPOC is filled. We can get rid of that. And now what we see is we have a clear range. And you could just box this off like so. And you could say, all right, as long as we're above, this level here, I expect to see, the highs of the range, or at least this local gold pocket here. That should be your previous week high as well. Previous week value area high, I believe. Yeah, right there. So previous week value area high would be the target at the gold pocket at this daily level. And that all comes in around 23,245 up to as high as this local daily swing fail pattern that occurred when we made that high. And I'll get rid of all this stuff to do that, because I did say we'd keep this somewhat clean. And there you go. This is the original chart we started with and why it all matters, right? So there's your last local daily highs. Now, if you start flipping this area right here, to me, this is the high of that box is 23,349. Then you're probably butting up against the last weekly high as well, I would imagine. Yeah, you're getting really close to your previous week high up here. That's at 23,459. So yeah, if you start flipping this box here, you're probably going to come up here to at least 23,745. And I would be looking to challenge this overall high potentially myself, unless, we get up here and again, order flow says, hey, take that short, right? So if price continues to push through this area, 22,810 has been very, very key. You can see that right here, right here, right here. We'll go to the daily. What happens when we start closing dailies above 22,810? Well, at a minimum, you've gone to 23,459. So this box is to be expected. Is it meant to be resistance where the move stops here? It doesn't have to be. So we have to gauge each level as if it is a unique trade in itself, because they all are. There is no cookie cutter method to this where you can just say, okay, this is the level. I mean, sometimes we can do that, but in this instance, on a deviation like this, a lot of times you'll actually run the entire range. So you have to be ready for that move and be kind of nimble in this case. The only reason I'm even lining out these intermediate resistances right now is, one, they're targets for take profits on longs, as you should have already taken profit here and taken profit here. This would be another take profit, another take profit. If you guys are in the group, I walked everyone in the classroom through a pretty extensive breakdown of how I like to take profits on swing trades, especially. So that way they weren't taking too much of the trade out and still could like plan their trade in their take profits going forward, so that they knew how much they were going to make, things like that. Which is, it's a little bit more, it just takes time. It's not more advanced. It's just a more advanced planning. And I think a lot of people, until they're actually kind of have it broken down, it's something they might struggle with. So that said, yeah, you flip this box right here. I really do think you've got the opportunity of trying to make a new high, barring any kind of a failure at resistance, like a failed move. And I bring that up because of the DXY, right? The DXY is still range bound, in my opinion, but is certainly pushing for it. So as Bitcoin is coming into resistance, so is the DXY. But if the DXY pushes through this, just like if the DXY rejects here and Bitcoin pushes through, there's going to be your tell, right? So if the DXY pushes up to the next zone of resistance and Bitcoin is pushing down, we might be looking for a move down in price. And where is going to be the most important area to hang on to if we make that move down? It's going to be your last local lows, of course. probably somewhere right here. This local low 21.8, in my opinion, would be fairly key. You could just slide this over and you can see this has been pretty important support. And that's how I would be looking at it. Just very simple, right? You don't want to see this coming back down and losing these local lows in market structure you've put in, returning to the low here. As Max had said, if we start making that move, while I think 21,561, that SFP level that we were giving for this move right here, I think it's going to offer a nice bounce. However, I do think we'd probably come through it and head to lower targets. So it'll be key. Set some alerts on the DXY. If the DXY pushes up and Bitcoin is pushing back down into these regions, it's not going to look good. It looks like the DXY is probably going to try to go test some of these higher targets, which are just averages of price, just like we do on Bitcoin from prior sessions. So that's why they're targets, and that's why they get the respect that they do. Whereas if the DXY makes the opposite opposing move and we get a rejection here on this SFP of the high, we look back down to support and we look at Bitcoin as breaking back into these levels of resistance, right? That's all you're doing. You're trading those two there. And when you come into those areas, what's going to be most important is you're looking at the buyers and the sellers and what people are doing real time to determine which direction the move is going. If the move is fading out, you may not want to be holding that position, or you may just lock in a profit. Or if you're looking for a hedge position, you may consider one at that time if the order flow is giving that to you and you have confluence through the DXY. So you're not correlation trading, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it seems like a lot of people request DXY content at this point. They want to see the dollar and what it's doing because they got this underlying belief that it's very, very important, and they're not wrong. So we'll keep it to that. But that's really all I've got. You're still range bound, in my opinion. So until Bitcoin's really living back above and challenging 23,245, like living above this level, that's probably going, it's just, yeah, it's range bound. But the moment you start flipping this to support, this is going to be putting pressure back up to these higher levels, and the potential for a larger rally is in play. And then this does look like what we talked about yesterday, where it just becomes a higher low and a series of higher lows and higher highs, right? That's all it would be doing. So that's all I've got. Targets are still the targets, guys. The target is still 26,724 until there is a break of price or a sign of weakness, and there is not one. What we do in between here should not affect the long-term positions that you should have been taking down here, or if you took them in this region, right? What we're doing up here, these are separate trades. These are intraday. They are new positions that will not affect the risk management and the risk of the positions that were taken previously, right? You have to be able to segment that off in your brain. If you can't do that, maybe don't day trade on top of swing trading, but it doesn't hurt to still learn some TA and go along with that. Max, I'm done. If you've got anything to add.
You're no muted. Quick stream ender here. I'm joking.
Dirty.
Yeah, so let's go over what we can see here. So obviously this is a region on the charts, which the point of control from range, where Magic said yesterday that if we normally what you do is you come up and back test the range and then drop, which would offer as a trade in the immediate. But as of right now, there has been no real reason to take a trade here. And we did a live trading session though. There was absolutely nothing given to us. So which is a pain. It's a pain. But, when you see it come up, tap with point of control, you still need to see a trigger to enter a trade. Other than the big wick that you had and the drop off in open interest, there's really been no reason to take the trade here. All price has done is effectively come back down to try and find some buyers, and it's picked them up in this region on the charts. You can see the open interest has been increasing when you get down here with positive delta. So it shows you that this region on the charts is where buyers become interested again. The issue that we've got is buyers don't seem to be too interested at these prices in this region of the charts. Every time you get there, you can see the colors really start to go quite grayed out and quite white, which just means that volume's pretty much dropping off and there's no positive delta there. So it just shows you that there's not really too much interest in here, but there is like $100 or so below it. So we're in a bit of a limbo right now. However, the thing to note in this region is, I can't really talk about the order flow and expect us to go higher. Buyers are interested here. Can't really predict, if we're going to get a move up, we need buyers to come in. However, I can kind of look to see where we can potentially get a move down, and that is by using the TPO charts. You can see now we've got some single prints here, and yesterday when we had somewhat of a similar move, we had if I extend this on to paint a picture effectively, we came up, we had the single prints from effectively this region on the charts all the way up to where we were. And what did we wait to see? We waited to see shorts, heavy shorts start to enter, to then pushes into the single prints, trap some traders, and close out the single prints. And they did it. They closed out the single prints effectively to the dollar, which was very neat for anyone that was able to take the short. Right now, the single prints are a bit larger, but the region on the charts that I'm really looking at to be lost, which I'm considering rather important, is this region on the charts here around the VWAP. So the reason being is because if you're looking at the move up, it initially started, it's been such a slow day initially for trading. There's literally been absolutely nothing for us to take any trades. And then you get this move up. You had a load of buyers come in, which then initiated a short squeeze, which added more shorts coming in, which then initiated more of a short squeeze, which then you had buyers then come in and take you higher, which is what you want to see in an uptrend. Normally they start on a short, in an uptrend, normally they start on a short squeeze, which gets them fast moves. And the thing that you'd want to see for it to continue is buyers to come in, and which they did. So right now, that is the area that I'm really pinpointing on the charts. These three strong candles here that we've had, where you've had a ton of delta, a lot of positive open interest, that if lost, you're really going to be looking down to those single prints. And ultimately, the initial take profit has to be the previous day high. But when you get back into this range after, deviating it as we have, it's not going to look too good. But yeah, it's the single prints that my eyes are really on right now, because I would extend this as a whole single print. So you've got one from 22,600 down to 22,274, and that is a great trade if we're given it. But like I say, the area that I'm looking at is really the VWAP, which gives it's a bit below that. So subtract $100 from that potential trade. But if lost in this region of the charts, and you're trapping these traders that have entered in this section, really can look for their take profits, which come down to that region, which Magic mentioned, which, is all down here. I'm pulling my fib retracement from this candle here, because when we looked at this yesterday, there was such significant volume that I really don't care about these lows because they were so insignificant. Whereas this one here, we had a lot of volume. So it makes it more significant for me. So that's where I'm pulling it from. And I like the gold pocket, how it's just below these lows here, but similar region to the level which Magic gave at 21,800-ish. So yeah, if you're putting those traders underwater that we've got in this section of the charts here, in this little block, I would really be targeting that. So, that's the short setup that I'm waiting for, loss of the VWAP, or we see a significant amount of shorts enter, which, pushes down a fair way. But everything we've seen now, where we are up here, it's just been, it's not really been anything too telling in order for us to take a short. So I've not taken one. I'm kind of just waiting for price action to move. But yeah, loss of this region, expecting it to drop a considerable amount and, be the trade for the day if we're given it. But, you can't preempt it. You kind of have to wait for the trade to be given to you. You can't just snatch at it, because then you could just be caught, going against the trend, because this is effectively, a very strong uptrend. You don't really just jump the gun. So, patience is the name of the game right now. But yeah, level to be lost is the VWAP and these three candles on the chart, and then I'll be taking a short and aiming for them lower targets. But I've not really got too much else to mention. We've got 41 people in here. That is great to see. But yeah, I'll show you the single prints one more time to be aware of, because if we do start to get the move down, as we saw yesterday, it happened pretty fast. But yeah, I've not really got anything else to go.
Very quick stream. Very quick stream. I think
Under 20
Erska's
minutes.
blowing me up. She's actually sending me her real address. She is in Slovenia. So that'll be interesting. She must really want some Girl Scout cookies. We do have a fair amount of people in here. We got 34 on my side, 12 on. That's pretty good, guys. 43. So let's see. What do you use for checking out market flow? This is ExoCharts.
It's very good. It's very easy to read. You can use ATAS, but it's very clunky, and I
It's not
feel
user
like
friendly at all.
it's not user friendly. Whereas this, it looks very easy. It's so easy to set up. You can just simply import templates, and
Yeah,
you set, as long as you can understand how to read it, you can import someone's template that you've got, and it's all set up easy, color coded, very easy to get a grips of. But yeah, this is what I use, and it's what the group uses, to be fair.
I say, yeah, I just looked. I got to update my single print because my single prints are different than yours. Mine
Quick
show
refresh.
22. Mine show 22,546 down to 22,303. So a little different. I don't know what my
22 what?
546 down to 23,303. So I've got to figure out where that discrepancy is coming from. I don't use your template though either. I made that one. I'll have to.
You made it, mate. It's broken. It's broken from the offset.
Yeah, it was broken. We
How
both know
dare you
that.
change the wheel? Yeah, not sure. Not sure on that one. Are you using the 30-minute time frame?
Yeah. 30-minute tick size, maybe. I don't know if that affects it. It's set at
I have
69.
one.
So yours is set at 1.
Yeah, I have the one tick on. You can put it on 50, but I've been having the exact as of late. I've been enjoying it.
Now I have exactly what you have. It was the tick size. I had it on. Is that number 69 was doing me dirty for some reason.
Oh, so you literally had it on 69 ticks. You're such a child, mate. I'm the younger one, yet you're such a child. Even on 50 ticks, it's the same.
Yeah. So I just turned it to 1. It's much.
You that 69, you tool.
Yeah. It's a bit of a problem. I'll never grow up. I appreciate that, Mr. Anderson says we deserve way more viewers. You know what? I don't know. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. We're kind of boring. We don't yell and hype up the chat. Don't
You've
try
not
to
seen Magic do his face.
Yeah, I don't do the O face. I don't do any of that shit. I don't team up with scammers out there and go on these large shows. So it's it's a tough sled, but we'll keep going every day because honestly, this is a little bit like a trading journal for both Max and myself. Like I've been doing this type of content for several years. I've grown bigger communities before. And it just takes time, and over time, eventually it comes. But how I like doing this, and this is for anyone that's thinking about making content too, is it actually will make you a better analyst. It won't necessarily make you a better trader. That's a different thing. You still have to trade. Doing live trading sessions definitely does, but
unless they're slow and you get nothing.
Unless they're slow, which then it's kind of a hassle. But this will actually make your analysis much better, and it'll really clear things up for yourself. A lot of times, just hearing yourself reiterate it, just like you should be writing things down. Now you're orating it as well. It's just as powerful. So it can do wonders for yourself.
It's like the thing that people say about teaching. It's like the best way to learn a topic, so is to teach about it. It's like a similar situation to that, where you're talking about it, so you're kind of figuring it. You're going to put it across in the best way possible. That then it improves you, rather than just saying, "Oh, it's this, it does that." You're putting it across in the best way possible for someone else to understand it. And in the meantime, while you're figuring it all out, it's like, okay, I'm getting it myself.
Lola, she said that's because I don't show my face. She's like, we can barely see your face.
You should move the camera to a front-facing point.
I've always told people, well, this is how my trading station's set up. I recently rearranged so the camera's here, and it's just easiest to do it there. And I don't care about the camera. I don't care about anything like any emotions that my face will be giving. Yeah, I don't really care about any of that stuff. So to me, I look at it as, what I look like. I used to not show my face at all. It was always just my logo.
Bob Dylan songs.
Yeah, I used to. Yeah, and Bob Ross songs. Back in the day. So
Bob Ross songs. So then it comes straight in with the magic charts. Boom.
Yeah, boom. Yeah, that was years ago. But I always figured my words and my analysis mattered way more. So Yeah, that's how I look at it. But if people want to see my face, they can. I'm not like hideous or anything. I just fucking, don't really care to like be blasting. I don't. Most of the time, guys, I'm bumming it pretty hard. I don't really care to have to like, trim my beard and look presentable all the time. I like to kind of look homeless. It's a whole vibe. So maybe that's what I'll do is I'll just let that all go, and you guys can see me looking pretty rough. Maybe that's what you guys are into. But Farouk says he feels left out at this on the exo chart stuff.
How'd you feel left out, my man?
Farouk, if you're in the group, you've got 4 hours, 5 hours of videos going over this stuff, and I would recommend watching them. We recently had the guy who designed our website update the player, so it should be playing faster. I know that's been an issue or a pain for some people. That
It was
content is
literally
there.
yesterday, so
Yeah,
if you
that
guys
content
have been struggling, it's done.
that content is definitely there for you guys. And if you have questions on it, that's what the classroom is there for. We want you to ask questions about the content, right? Like, we don't want you to ask questions and not watch it, but at the same time, like, we know that you're not going to watch it and get everything in one go. Like, this is stuff that it is not, I wouldn't say it's not easy. It's just one of those things where it does, like anything that's worthwhile, it takes a little bit of effort, like that's part of trading. Trading is, there was an interesting poll that was put up on Twitter by Forrest from Sistine Research. I know he changed his name from OX Sacker. And it was, if you could dedicate 10 years of your life where they paid you for each year $100,000 for the next 10 years to learn something, would you do golf, day trading, poker, and then I can't remember what the other one was. It was something like, chess. And I just commented that I would do day trading and I would do poker. And the reason being is you can design systems that are mathematically profitable so that when that 10 years is up, you can continue making money and it's sustainable. It's just simple math. However, your success rate based on poker, or not poker, but chess or golf, is going to be limited to potentially genetic potential, because that's more of a sport type thing. So, whereas the other two, you can easily design systems to generate revenue going forward and still go play golf if you want to. You can still go be bad at golf. So that's what I would say. You need to take that approach. And so it's not easy to do, but it takes people several years to become profitable, consistent intraday traders. That's just a fact of the matter. So, experience definitely matters. And where you're getting, what kind of experience you're having leading up to that. If you're just having several years of like not tracking your trades and several years of, maybe not diving into the material, and I'm not accusing you of that. I'm just talking broadly in general to anyone that's listening, that if you're not putting that effort into it and you're not doing those things, there are certainly people out there that are, people like myself, Max, and several others in the group, that are going to have a leg up on you, and you're essentially spinning your wheels. I wouldn't say you're wasting your time or your time there, but you kind of are, because you're not gauging how to improve at all. The only thing you know how to improve at that point is, I should get more serious about this. I should study more. I should write things down. I should track trades. I would recommend, if you've watched the videos in the group, take notes. Definitely write out notes. So it's hard. Day trading is very hard, in the sense that,
And if you're not in the group, just come and ask us in the general chat. We don't mind talking.
Yeah, you can ask in the general chat. Like, we don't care. We're not going to like shun you for being in the general chat. That's not a thing. But it is one of those things where trading isn't as hard now. Like, it's pretty easy for me now. I don't have to trade as much if I don't want to. But, been at this 5 years now. It's not like that just happened overnight. And at some point, you have to understand that the math has to math. To simple charts, not feeling ready. Oh, he's not. Oh, you haven't watched him yet. Well, hey, man, all I would say is, when you're ready to dive into that material, like I said, go into it with a notepad, go into it with, an open mind, because it's one of those things where it will change the way you view charts a little bit, because the interactions you see on charts are dictated by the information that's coming in through exo charts. So when you see a candle on TradingView, you're essentially looking at the buyers and sellers of that candle, and it can 100% can 100% give you a leg up. Like there are times where Max can just look at the order flow, not even look at, the Bitcoin chart on TradingView, and within, maybe in a 30-minute to an hour long window, he kind of knows what price is going to do. You can make a trade off of that sometimes. So it's a skill in itself, and it's new. I'll be honest with you. There's not very many people out there doing it. I think Axia was the first people that brought it out into like retail space back in 2018. Then there's a guy, Johannes Forthman, wrote a book. There's other groups out there that do this stuff. Some of them claim they invented this shit, which is really kind of insulting in a way. But there's lots of material out there, and the materials in the group as well. Those books that I just mentioned are definitely in there. But yeah, I think I started my journey into order flow in 2020. So it's been almost 3 years now, I guess, give or take. It'll be 3 years in April, I believe, is when I started. I don't really dig. I'll be honest with you, man. I'm going to throw a little shade. I don't dig Chart Champions content. And the reason I don't is because he's ripped off so much shit, and the way he goes about his live streams and his public stuff. I'm just going to leave it out there like that. I've known Dan since 2018. So dude needs to figure out what he's doing with his life in that department. I think he's very talented. I think he's a great marketer, but that's all he's doing.
Anyway,
sorry, not to get too ruthless.
It was like some weird, it's come up on our screen very weird. But yeah.
I think it's supposed to be an emoji. It says per character lifting some weights saying keep it up. So I think it's supposed to be like an emoji of a person like pumping iron.
Oh, okay. And that's what that 129 MXN is. It's confused me. But I need to walk my dog, Magic. I need to do it.
Crypto, no doubt. I don't learn anything from his video. No, you won't, because he's gatekeeping information that he's basically rebranded as his own so that he can get you to pay whatever hundreds of pounds a month that he's charging. So not to be a dick, but we'll end it on that, because that's now we're getting into the point where this is a very it's just negative. But it's supposed to be a super sticker. Well, I don't know what that means, but thank you. We appreciate it, Lalola. You're always super positive, like in and out of the group, and I love that. So on a positive note, on a high note, you guys have a great day. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. And if you're in the group, we'll catch you tonight. Wednesdays, we normally do classroom questions. So if you have them, we'll post it in the members. So if you guys have questions, we go over them with you in the group live stream.
Appreciate it.
All right. Cheers.